Now, a running shoe does not just arrive in a box ready to go off the shelf in the running store. In fact, there is a small army of people involved in that production process from start to finish. But key to that are the professional athletes themselves who are training and racing in the shoes day in, day out. Now, their specific feedback is fundamental to the entire development and continual improvement of those products that the companies are producing. And that in turn has a direct trickle-down effect on you guys, the customers, who are going to be buying them. So today we've been invited by Bart Aernouts, second place finisher at Hawaii Ironman 2018, and our channel partners on to get an insight into the nuts and bolts of that shoe design process as Bart discusses his shoes with them here at their headquarters and testing facilities in Zurich. On is a fairly new running company, only founded in 2010 right here in Switzerland. And perhaps you're not even that familiar with what makes On a unique running shoe company. Well, let me tell you, it is these. It is their clouds, which is their innovative technology which sits in their soles of all of their shoes. And I was quite interested to find out exactly what it is that goes into the making of these and how On brings these shoes and that technology to the marketplace.
Enchanté.
So I'm here in the research and design facility that On have in-house here in Zurich, and my word, this is quite an impressive space. But this is where I'm going to learn about the role that somebody like Bart has in the whole design of a shoe. And talking about those shoes, this is essentially where they are born. The idea or concept, or as the team refer to them, a monster. And this is what I've got here in my hand. It's a handmade shoe, essentially an amalgamation of lots of different models that can be stuck together. And this is really their starting point, and that then moves on to this, which is the technical designs, which, as you can see, are far more intricate in their nature and loads of detail going on here. And this here is what can then be sent on to a further development team, which are in Vietnam. And that team is then able to use these designs to create a prototype. So moving on from the monster. That prototype design can then get iterated and move forwards, bounce back here to the team in Zurich. And that loop is where the athletes like Bart come into play, because they can offer their invaluable feedback that allows that iteration process to move forwards. That whole loop can take up to 4 or 5 runs until everybody, both here out in Vietnam, are happy with what they've designed with the shoe. And at that point, usually about 18 months down the line from this initial monster phase, there's a shoe ready for production. So today, Bart has kindly allowed us to follow him as On analyse his running in a variety of different shoes. So they'll start in the lab and later move on to the track. But by no means is Bart the only person that On rely upon in order to perfect their shoes. Now, although we've been following Bart through his feedback process today here at On, he's certainly not the only professional athlete that they work with who they've gone through similar idea feedback loops with. The likes of Tim Dong, we've had Nicholas Sperg and Javier Gomez too, who've all contributed to the development and tweaking of shoes that are going to be coming out in the future. But that aside, it's not just the professional athletes that a company like On use. Indeed, they've got an entire testing pool of over 100 test runners who they give shoes to, crucially in a size 44, which is my size, or a size 38 for the women, which they give out, allow people to test, and you can see test with the little T on the back of these shoes here. And that just allows the company to get a much broader spectrum of data and information points back that they can go forward with improving their shoes. So after some testing, Bart's now back here. We're at the headquarters of On, so he can have a sit down and feedback session with Kevin and Dina, part of the research and development team here at On, so that he can give as good a feedback as possible so they can work with that information and improve the shoe as it goes forwards.
Yeah, I mean, you run with this shoe. What do you think about the current Cloud Flow? You take it for competition. What's your feeling with it and your feedback on this shoe?
So with the current Cloud Flow, I'm using it quite often in training. I never raced with it because I really like the shoe, but somehow the fit in the shoe didn't feel like 100% for me to race in it as well. So I like a lot of the things about the shoe, but maybe it's not 100% a fit for me for a race shoe.
Yeah, I mean, we did the analysis on the treadmill. We have it here on the laptop, and Dina can maybe show you the result.
Exactly. So we compared the different shoes and had a look at both versions, the red one and the blue one. And it kind of correlates with what you say. So your subjective feeling can be seen in the numbers and in the data that we see here. So the main parameters that we look at would be running economy and elastic exchange. So running economy is the amount of energy that you use for a certain distance that you run. And obviously we try to use less energy. That means you can go faster and we can go longer. And the elastic exchange is the value of energy, of force that you can save in your muscles and in your tendons, so in your body, and then exert onto the ground at push-off. So these two values are very important. We want to have a low economy value, so low energy usage, but a high elastic exchange, so high value of return of energy. And we did also see here a difference between the two shoes, and it just seems that your body seems to work a lot better with the red shoe. So you seem to feel more comfortable, and this also results in a change in your running style a little bit. So it's big enough change that we can actually see a difference, and we believe that you would be more comfortable also running races in the red shoe.
As well as getting feedback on his running economy, Bart helped On by suggesting slight changes in their shoes. On then collate this information and use it for products further down the line. So we've been inside on the treadmill in the lab. Bart's had his biomechanics and all sorts of data analysed there. But On really want to have him here on the track in a real-time situation so he can give them proper feedback. And on that note, they've asked me to join him. Way up, Bart.
Flex, I just wanna win. Yeah, LABB, who we running with? Yeah, 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright. Coming in.
We've been in the lab, now we're on the track, and you've collected a lot of data with the guys here On. But even though it's all specific to you, that's not going to be a special shoe made for Bart, is it?
No, I think today, first of all, we tested different shoes and analyzed the data from these different shoes. And the data will be used to develop new shoes, not just for me, but available to anyone. So anyone can actually benefit from all the data they collect. So it's just to make better shoes in the future, or even better shoes than they have now, or see what they can change to make a better shoe that everybody can just buy.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite exciting, isn't it? You're at the very top of Ironman racing, and you're obviously wanting a shoe that is the best that can make you run a fast marathon. But the shoe's still there for anybody else who might be racing an Ironman or an event on the same day as you in the age group ranks, right?
Yeah, and I think that's amazing about the brand. And I mean, they could do some special modifications probably if you really need it. But so far, I never needed it, and I feel really good with the shoes. And I think the data shows that there's also some. I mean, they have some interesting ideas for the future, and they will only get better, I think, the shoes, from what I saw today. So it's exciting for everybody, I think, because everybody's going to be able to buy them.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen with these next shoes that move forward, isn't it?
And for me also, today the testing was my first lab testing for running, and it was interesting to see the differences between the shoes. And so far, my choice for shoes was always based on how I felt with the shoes and how smooth they felt for me running, and that's how I picked my racing shoes and training shoes. And then it's interesting to see that the data shows that often the feeling is the right thing. I mean, the data backs what I felt with the shoes, and but it might be interesting to test some other shoes in the future for racing as well, based on what we saw today. So I might change my
yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether come the next major championships you're in a different On shoe. So we're here at the track, and I have just finished doing a few laps with Bart, as On kindly let me run in a pair of the new shoes that he's helping them with their feedback. And they asked me what my feedback was, and if I'm honest, the Scottish in me was just delighted they gave me a pair that matched the tartan of the track. But in all seriousness, this day has actually been a real fascinating insight for me. I thought I knew a little bit about how a shoe got made, but quite frankly, I didn't understand quite how much detail went into the design of a shoe, from R&D at the very beginning right through to nearly 18 months later, hopefully hitting full production. And also integrating the use of athletes like Bart into that whole process to make sure that that shoe is absolutely as best a model as they can produce at the end result. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Please hit that thumb up like button. And if you want to subscribe and get all the other videos on our channel, find the globe on screen. And for another video that we did with Bart about his swimming, well, you can find that here.